Well, as Executive Director, it is my very great pleasure indeed to present the 2021 PostScript Excellence Awards. PostScript magazine really does exemplify the purpose of the BCRTA, which is to promote the well-being of our members. And that's why in each issue, you're going to find terrific information from experts about all the issues that affect retirees, from finance to food. But it seems to me that the real reason that PostScript is so treasured by our readers is found in the articles that are actually contributed by our BCRTA members. And in those articles, they share something of their own experiences and dreams. So to celebrate all these contributions, each year our communications committee identify nominees and winners in 3 categories. Through the PostScript Excellence Awards, we celebrate the wonderful images and stories that have informed, challenged, and inspired us. And I want to thank our Communications Committee for their work in the selection of these awards, namely their chair, Arnie Lambert, and members Steve Bailey, Carol Baird-Krull, Terry Green, Stephanie Koropatnik, and Floyd Smith. This year's nominees are drawn from the 4 issues of PostScript shown here, beginning with the summer 2020 issue through the spring issue of this year. And our first category is Best Personal Experience Article. We call it the Sheila Gair Award. We've named that after our longtime editor of PostScript, Sheila Gair, who is now past editor. Our nominees this year are Slow Fire by Duncan Lowe, Termites by Paul Desjardins, Me and My Truck by Terry Green, Roots and Branches by Steve Bailey, Roots and Branches by Gerald Soon, The Speech Festival by Phil Foster, and Living in a Year of Bad News by Margaret Sutton. I had a chance to have a conversation with Duncan Lowe recently, and I'd like to welcome Duncan Lowe. Hi, Duncan.
Good morning.
It's good to be able to chat with you about this. Now, you had an interesting opening to your article where you said this whole journey of moving to a wood-fired oven, the Forno, I think you call it, started with a dissatisfaction with the speed of things, and in particular, fast food and instant things. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think it might come out as a result of laboring most of my lifetime against the clock, listening to bells and buzzers. So when you hit retirement, one of the nice things you discover is you're on nobody else's clock, and leisure time becomes infinitely expandable and quite wonderful. And so part of it was dissatisfaction with things that I'd been doing to get through a working day, the microwave oven, and I never did like instant coffee, right? So the ability to do things more slowly and do it, might I say, mindfully. I really wanted to do an activity that fits our community. Many of the people here have built their own houses. Group projects and group work parties are really common. So I started thinking about building something with the neighbors, with a work party from the start.
It really became a center of activity for you and your friends.
That became even more of a surprise than we had thought. I was doing it initially, I thought, mostly for myself, but was surprised to discover almost every person visiting, whether working laborers or visitors making deliveries, they all wanted to know more and participate too.
In the upper right-hand corner there, Duncan, you've got, looks like some kind of baking there. What's that? And maybe fill us in on some of the things that you found you've had great success with in preparing in your oven.
Well, sure. And I'm glad you picked that one to focus on amongst others. That is my very first attempt at making baguettes, which was, of course, the stimulus, the provocation to start building the oven in the first place. Well, think I said in the article, in my travels, I found much better tasting bread most places, and especially I wanted to reduplicate the French baguette. In this case, the baguette is extraordinarily difficult and requires a good, really hot, high temperature oven.
Here on the right-hand side, we have our little formula for making an oven. Is this an experience that you would recommend to other people, I imagine?
Well, interesting. I certainly would if one is prepared, but it's not a task that's either speedy or lightweighted anyway. So
Yeah.
you have to have, let's say, the passion or the enthusiasm to keep going. What I built sort of was the longest shortcut possible, I think.
Well, I think your long process has certainly been worth it, not in terms of only of your oven, but that long process has paid off handsomely in this beautiful article that I know our nomination committee and our the communications committee who selected these awards were very impressed with this. So I think my final question to you, Duncan, would be, how does it feel to hear that you are the winner of the PostScript Excellence Award for Best Personal Article?
Well, let me say that I'm humbled for the start because I've surely appreciated the opportunity to actually focus my thinking and appreciate the opportunity to be able to share. I've happily invited anybody out there who wants to know more how to do it or who wants to come and help participate in the cooking. I really want to be able to share it with other people and have them enjoy the enthusiasm that comes from doing something social and something slow too.
Yeah, well, that sounds fantastic. You're obviously such an amiable and personable guy. I think it's remarkable that you have just invited 17,000 BCRTA members over to your house for lunch. And I hope
one at a time.
One at a time. Okay, well, it's going to take a while. Thanks again for your article. Congratulations on your win of the PostScript Excellence Award for Best Article.
Well, thank you very much, Tim. I have to say, I hugely appreciate your leadership and your focus on creating our magazine that is truly admirable. I enjoy it every single moment. So thank you again for your efforts in this end of it.
I am very pleased now to welcome Patty Shields Lefkos, who is an author, and her partner, Barry Hodgins, an accomplished photographer. And the two of them are nominated for PostScript Excellence Awards. And that's for their article, Footloose in the Himalaya. Welcome, Patty and Barry. It's great to have you with us.
Hi.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Now, you two are quite a team in terms of spurring one another on. One of the interesting parts of this article, and I'll quote from the opening paragraph, Patty says, "When I naively agreed to my husband Barry's suggestion that we trek the Annapurna circuit in the Nepal Himalaya, I had no idea what lay ahead." And then there unfolds this almost like poker bidding where each of you try to outdo the other with a more outrageous suggestion for your trek. Is this sort of how that unfolded?
Shall I start?
Well, it's sort of. I'm an airplane wimp. I don't like long flights. So the fundamental reason for our long trip was that we felt that, or I felt probably more than Patty, that flying all that distance and only spending a short period of time didn't compute for me. So we ended up doing 4 treks.
And Barry had always wanted to do the Annapurna Sanctuary and Circuit. And I had heard a lot about Upper Mustang near the Tibet border, very Buddhist, and it's only been open, for 20, well, not quite 20 years at that time. And then we both said, well, if we're going, I suppose we should do the Everest Base Camp trek. Just because that's what 70% of the tourists do. It turned out to be not our favorite at all. It's far too crowded, but
Well,
yes, we bid back and forth a bit, sure.
you are the first people I've ever heard of to avoid the discomfort of a plane ride while hike across mountains. That's that's a new one. Now, Barry, one of the remarkable things about this article that I know our readers really loved was your photography. And let's have a look here. I want to show our audience here this photo. Would you believe that this photo, Barry, was not good enough to make it into the magazine? Which tells you something about the photos you submitted.
In terms of the landscapes, I definitely plan those out. I mean, some of the night shots, for example, I have to go out for several hours to get the kind of angle and so forth that I feel comfortable with. Others, are definitely shots like, this one, this kid just came along and was carrying an enormous basket and thought, oh, there's a guy,
Well, it's a very evocative photo because it's not just bucolic. This child is working and looking at the clothes there, I can see the word love on her, on her top, which adds a lot of interest. This is a shot, looks like it's taken at altitude here. You want to tell me a little bit about what it took to get here and what this signifies?
Well, it's kind of interesting because, we do a lot of trekking at altitude, and obviously altitude has its own dangers. But one of the problems with altitude too is that the sky is unusually blue. And the consequence of that is you can often feel that people viewing the photographs might not think they're real, but clearly prayer flags are really important in shots like that, just because they have the color and they make a difference to the whole shot. They would not be as interesting.
This became that 2-page spread that we did to introduce the article, and it's pretty dramatic with that full moon rising there on the left.
Yeah, that one definitely took a couple of hours at least, and obviously very much had to be on a tripod. And if you if you punch that up, if you bring it closer, you find that it's actually in really good focus. And that's one of the issues at night, is knowing whether your photographs are going to have the kind of focus that you prefer to have.
Yeah.
It's dark, so and I've got old eyes, so it's not always that easy.
That was at 2 a.m. on Thanksgiving.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was 2 a.m. I
don't
only
remember
know
those
because I
things.
had to get up to go to the bathroom, and he was still out there playing around with time exposures.
I want to show you some of the other nominees to give you a sense of the flavor of what else is going. And as a photographer, you'll be in a better position to appreciate it than many, I imagine. This category comprises both photographs and art. And so we have a list here, and I'm just going to scroll through some of these images. Laurie John Vick lives on Texada and does these amazing paintings on reclaimed steel.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
That piece of art used to be the front of someone's dishwasher, believe it or not. And she turned it into something so wonderful, really remarkable. Gord Yakimo is one of our frequent contributors, and he sent in this photo for his article of me and the Maya, which is another amazing location, set of location shots. Manon Cloutier sent this photo in from Arizona, this cold little guy. And Arnie Lambert, who is well known to BCRT members, he submitted this Trillium shot, just beautiful. Speaking of focus, Barry, you can see how he's been very selective. I think the term he uses for that is bokeh. the Japanese term for selective focus, and he made that the cover of the issue that your article appeared in. And the last nominee that we're going to highlight, who's on our finalist list, is Linda Grace Phillipson, who, this is the second article she submitted on the theme of ikebana, the Japanese flower arranging, and this is one of her arrangements, which is a
That is
very dramatic piece.
stunning,
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful. Wow.
Patty, you are nominated for Best Travel Article, and I'm going to share with you the other nominees who are finalists here.
Mhm.
We have Balade Vélo by Christine Sanders. This is her second article with us about her travels in France. Last year, she won for her article. Me and the Maya, Gord Yakimo was up for that as well. He's also a double nominee. Harold Dirksen has submitted a few articles, and he did a wonderful travel article about his trek across Morocco.
Mm.
And then last but not least, we have Footloose in the Himalaya by Patty Shales Lefkos. So I want to ask you a couple of questions about the many exotic layers of this trip. And I got the feeling that you're a fairly accomplished traveler. But what about that landscape really got to you as you're looking at that, and as an adventure writer? What hit you about those landscapes?
They're different everywhere. There's always a surprise around the next corner. You think this is beautiful, and then you go a little bit further and it's amazing. And the treks we did, the Annapurna is quite green, and the Everest is very rocky, and the houses are all made of rock and stone. And then when you go to Upper Mustang, it's like a desert. It's the Tibetan Plateau, very high. And so they're all different. I remember our guide saying, oh, well, it's not going to be all like this. You know, you'll see this and this and this. He was quite an amazing guide because he could give a play-by-play of from 9 to 10 to 11 to 12 about what you were going to see and how long things would take. And he always had it right. It was pretty amazing.
You were really impacted by the culture there as well.
Very much so. And Nepal is about 80% Hindi and 20% Buddhist. But the wonderful thing is that both cultures really respect each other's. So your Hindi guide will teach you how to go around a stupa, a monument that is Buddhist, and they will present you with a kata scarf that is a white Buddhist scarf, Sherpa culture, but they are Hindi, you know, and they really do work together and respect each other.
You really memorialized that trip in a book that you brought out after, and I'm just going to put on the screen cover of the book. Here on the left, we have Patty looking a little too cool for school, and at the right is the cover of this book, Nepal One Day at a Time. Can you tell us a little bit about that book? And
well, first of all, I'd like to point out that occasionally I do take a photo, but never at night. That's my photo, actually, of a magical cave monastery that I found, the guide found for me. Our first trip was 3 months, and we were with the same guide and porter. We got to know them, heard about their families and their villages. And so we thought the next trip we'll go back and we'll volunteer, teach in their village, because teaching is what we know, and then go on another trek. But then very unfortunately ruptured his Achilles tendon. And I was, almost 68. And I thought, if I don't go now, some friends, my sister was ill, other friends were getting ill at my age. And I thought, if I don't go now, I might not go at all. So I went solo for almost 3 months, and I was a volunteer teacher. And then I trekked again to Upper Mustang, and I found a village near where I was teaching that needed my help. And then the earthquake happened when I was home for a year. And so Barry made some fabulous slideshows with his photos. And we started a nonprofit called Nepal One Day at a Time, and raised money to build a school for this village, because the village was right near the epicenter of the earthquake, and every home and the school were totaled. So they had to start all over again. So that's really the story of the book, is how I came to go by myself all the people that I met at first, I thought, I can't do anything. They must think all Westerners are wealthy. You know, who am I? I can't do a thing. But you know what? You can when you get together and get people coming along and following. The Rotary Club in BC that I belong to has been fantastic, and our Rotary District. And so now we've built a school, and now we're fundraising for more supplies and books for them. So we still have treks to do.
That's a fantastic outcome of an adventure.
Most of my photographs turned out to be people, and some of them individuals, some of them were groups of people.
And children.
Yeah, lots of kids. And it turned out that we were really becoming, in a way, part of the landscape. We became a little part of that village, and we found that the people became way more important to us than what we were seeing.
Book, all profits of the book and the photo art cards we sell and everything go right back to the village for the kids, because they have no supplies.
Well, it's a wonderful story of creativity and intelligence all coming together to serve human connection. It's just a wonderful thing. So it's been fantastic to talk to the two of you. Patty, before we go, I think I would ask you to do a favor for me. If you could turn towards that guy beside you, you might want to give him a kiss on the cheek, because he's won the PostScript Excellence Award for Best Photograph in our magazine. So I think you should give this guy a congratulatory kiss. Congratulations, Barry,
Wow.
on your
That's
award.
wonderful.
Barry, before we go, could you do me a favor? That woman beside you, you might want to kiss her on the cheek, because she has won for a PostScript Excellence Award for the best travel article. You're double winners, the two of you. So the two of you, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, you're a wonderful team, and certainly credit to your profession. And anything that strikes you in this moment now as you celebrate this double win from this adventure?
Well, it's not over yet. We still have one big trek to do. It's called Upper Dalpo, and usually it takes 21 days, but it'll take us at least 30, because we'll go very slowly because of altitude. So, and we also have raised enough money to build 2 homes in the village. We were to go with a team of 15 in October 2020. Of course, we didn't. So hopefully next year we'll get there, and because a lot of people can't afford to rebuild. So we'll get a team together and go back. So there's, and one more book to come, which will be called Nepal, It's Never Too Late, for trekkers over 70.
Well, that's something we'll definitely look forward to. That's terrific. And our members are just now, as you and I are talking, in the mail is the fall 2021 issue, where we have a follow-up article from you, Patty, about your experience in the classroom, and a word of warning on why teachers there should never bring stickers to give to the kids.
Absolutely.
So it's been terrific to speak to you both. Thank you, and to both of you, congratulations once again on your win.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a great honor. Thanks a lot.